Snowbird Report, brought to you by McDonald's.
Whew, I ate way too many anchovies this summer.
Hello?
The Snowbird Report. It's what everyone in the office will be watching.
It's very funny, Billy. You're not gonna get me with the vaccination prank this time. That's what I thought. What the hell?
Let me call you sweetheart. I'm in love with you.
It's the song everyone can't wait to hear this winter season.
So, who exactly is this little guy? Quick Google search doesn't tell you a lot. 104-year-old woman meets penguins, Nashville news, weather, sports, missing penguin, same-sex penguin couple in London. Aha, Penguin of Doom. The ice cream truck style jingle that accompanies promotional spots for WSMV Channel 4's mascot Snowbird is a friendly, inoffensive bit of musical filler, but to Paul Truitt of Hendersonville, it's a cancer on my eardrum. Snowbird. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that's something.
Don't let snow and ice surprise you this winter. Watch the Snowbird Report. Guys, let's just stick with the scarf and the earmuffs. You know, the classic look of the Snowbird Report.
So, this is Snowbird, a very Muppet-esque weather penguin created by Nashville-based NBC affiliate WSNV in 1983. He'd show up during weather broadcasts and tell kids about local school closings, his famous theme song causing them to rush to the TV in anticipation of a potential snow day. However, Snowbird's legacy seems to be one entrenched in mystique, betrayal, and controversy. From his lovable sidekick Myron the Weather Rat, to news station layoffs, widespread backlash, and uncertainty over performers. It seems Snowbird's real story isn't very well known on the internet, and I intend to fix that. The year is 1983.
The guys built a puppet character, carried it down to WSMV, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Apparently some of the staff at WSMV thought it'd be a great promotion to have a penguin weather mascot come on and tell kids about local school closings, after seeing it done nearly a decade before on their own channel with just a cardboard cutout. So like the guy in the video said, they built a puppet, brought it into the station, but was it really as simple as that? I mean, I guess so, because they turned Snowbird into a full-fledged brand after that, making all kinds of merchandise.
Snowbird has some of the hottest merchandise on the market.
PSAs.
There was the word from Snowbird PSA. It's a series of, I think in the end about 72.
And Christmas specials, all in addition to the current on-air Snowbird programming.
We had specials. There were 2 Christmas specials. There was an Olympic special, and there was the Believe in Yourself special, which was a sort of a positive self-image kind of thing.
But how were they able to do this? I mean, it seems kind of strange that one station in Nashville was able to turn their mascot into a well-known brand. A brand that is kind of widely recognized as a symbol of winter. So, how did they do it?
There's this narrow swath of the country right north and south of the Mason-Dixon line where when it snows, it leads the newscast. It's a big deal. And those markets have been very amenable to the Snowbird character, so we'll fly their weather people in here, and the guys will all sit around on the couch and laugh at each other as they go through the spots. And we can do about 5 of them a day and crank out the spots, and basically everyone thinks that Snowbird lives in their hometown, but he's really from Nashville.
So there you go. They would fly meteorologists from all over into Nashville to film Snowbird spots that would air back on their own stations, all making it look like Snowbird was that specific weather person's best friend. and they're all the same. I was lucky enough to find 2 uploads of the same exact promo, and the only difference is they feature different weather people. Take a look.
Well, our journey each fall is frightful, but our job is so delightful. So trust the team that everybody knows. When it snows, when it snows, when it snows. When the snow falls this winter, look to the Snowbird Report for the best in school and community closings. Hi, Ren. Watch where you're going. Hey, I wonder.
When snowballs are flying, be sure to get the latest on winter weather, school closings with the Snowbird Report on Channel 4 and WSMV.com.
Come to think of it, I think I know a weatherman that would be able to assist me with my Snowbird research. So thank you for being with us here today. I know this is kind of out of your way. You're a busy man, busy schedule. Just got a couple questions for you about Snowbird. So was it a pretty big deal to film a Snowbird spot back in the day?
Oh, it was. I mean, it was incredible because we would go to Nashville. You go to their, I would say, a warehouse. You kind of felt like you were on a set in a movie because they'd all be there together. They'd have all their equipment, all their costumes. Everything was going to happen. You'd tape it all in one day. And we taped several segments. So whatever they had planned, you do it all that day. Take maybe hours, and then it was done. But it was a really big event for us.
Really big deal. Snowbird was somewhat of a celebrity.
Oh yeah, in this area, because if you are familiar with Snowbird, the biggest thing the kids loved was music. So when they'd hear the music, they come run to the TV set because that told them that they were going to be out of school or might be out of school or on delay, and they loved it.
It's also the biggest thing the parents hate.
Yeah, well, that's true. After a while, they got tired of hearing it, because here we go again, and they'd watch TV and nothing would happen for their school. So yeah, that kind of.
I saw one interview a guy did. He said the music was like a cancer on his eardrum.
I could see that because after a while, I mean, some people liked it, some people, it got on their nerves. So,
understandable. Yeah. Would you say the whole experience, meeting Snowbird, going to the studio, it was a really how would you say it was? Was it pleasant?
Oh, it was always pleasant. What was interesting is you get there, but you really wouldn't know what you're going to do. So I remember one time I was in there, they had a piano set up, and I only took some lessons as a kid. I'm like, don't tell me I have to play the piano. But I mean, there was all different skit type things set up where we do events with Snowbird. Yeah, it was a big deal for us. I really enjoyed it, a lot of fun.
So why don't many stations do Snowbird spots anymore, as much as they used to?
I think it was a promotional thing. I know a lot of TV stations, especially in the South and probably the Ohio Valley, use Snowbird a lot. And it was a big deal back then, but then all of a sudden it just started going by the wayside. I don't know whose idea that was to kind of trim it back or if the company decided to trim it back. But yeah, for a while there, it was gung-ho in a lot of places, especially when we had snow. Yeah, so for us, even the 80s, 90s, it was a big deal because we had a lot of snow in the area and sometimes some very heavy snow. So you'd see that. That's why the parents I could see got tired of the music. It's just playing over and over every single day.
Non-stop.
That's it.
That's great. So another question I have is, do you know this lady?
Yes, I do. Everybody knows her. Lisa Spencer. She actually started it, or started with, I think, Channel 4 and Bill Hall down there.
So I think that was their
She's been there since the beginning.
Probably Bill
Just
was
probably
there.
Not on camera.
Yeah, Bill was there, and then she came up from the Weather Channel, so she's been there since then. So a lot of that started in the Nashville market, and I think they just expanded out to different stations. Well, the other thing is, because you have the other drawing too with us in McDonald's. And
the coloring sheet.
Yeah.
When we took this over, we made it the big event. So we had coloring sheets that we would hand out to the kids. They colored. We'd have contests to see, and you'd send them through McDonald's, and it was all done, sponsored by McDonald's at the time.
Yeah.
Which was a big event for us. And we'd put some of those on the air and show them on the air too. So at that time when we did Snowbird, it was a huge event. I think the community really enjoyed it. I think some of the people have probably forgotten about it. That's why I'm glad you're doing this.
Do you have anything you'd like to promote to the audience?
For Snowbird?
Not for you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah. Where can people find you,
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been at WHL now going on 39 years. So we've done a lot of promotions through the years. You can reach me at and my email, very simple. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter as well. But yeah, it's always fun to reminisce about the old days, some of the old promos.
The way things used to be promoted.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about that. I mean, some of those events, I mean, I was at other TV stations and some of the promotions, I mean, they did days. And I wasn't involved in one of our news promos in Florida, but they had a whole spread of food and everything. It took a whole day to do a photo shoot.
Dang.
Those days have changed. So
No, 100%.
always fun, though, to reminisce. My friends who are now leaving the business, either retaring or just getting out, it's always fun to talk to them and see what they remember about the business.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for you, because you're never going to retire.
No,
I'll be here forever.
I'm in that cold studio. It's like a, it's home down there.
Sounds nice right about now.
Does
Well, again, thank you for coming out.
All right, thanks.
And back to the video. So, Snowbird spots would air on stations all around the country, tricking kids into believing that Snowbird resided in their hometown, that Snowbird was their new station's weather mascot and belonged to them. This led to kids forming a really deep connection with Snowbird all around the country. That's how Snowbird got so big. But if he was so big, why is there so little Snowbird information out there? I mean, the only comprehensive analytical thing I could find was that 3-minute and 55-second video uploaded by Mark's apparent best friend, Lisa Spencer. So, how can I learn more about this bird? Maybe we'll just watch some Snowbird promos and try to dig a little deeper, you know? Hey, here's one of those Christmas specials. No better way to learn about Snowbird than through some of his more long-form work.
That's good. Hang them on that branch there. Here you go, Princess. Here's one for you.
Thank you, Grandfather.
You're welcome.
My God, okay. Human-sized puppets, or even bigger, can work. We've seen them work. I mean, just look at things like Big Bird or Sweetums from the Muppets. These things can be done flawlessly. I mean, look at like the articulated character costumes we sometimes see in Disney parks. They're amazing. But the problem with this guy is he's huge, for one, and his eyes. Those cold, dead eyes. Also, why are all these kids referring to him as grandfather? Does he just like have a ton of grandkids that aren't puppets?
I'll tell you a very special story about a very special someone. My friend Snowbird.
So, as you might have guessed, grandfather here starts telling these kids the story of Snowbird, which I'm obviously anxious to hear. I mean, that's literally why we're watching this.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
Hey, Snowbird.
Oh, hi, Myron.
Hey, have you got a radio on in here or something? I just heard this awful racket that sounded like a warped record of Bing Crosby singing White Christmas.
Warped record, huh?
Well, Myron, I'd like to see you do a better job. I don't know if this is just a problem with this particular upload, or if the special aired like this, but throughout the whole thing, it looks like someone went into Premiere Pro and just slapped Warp Stabilizer on the whole special, because, I kid you not, there isn't one frame that's not constantly warping all over the place. It's just weird. I mean, that had absolutely nothing to do with my research, but let's just get back to what we were watching.
Oh, hi there, Snowbird. My little Eskimo pie.
Hi, Phoebe.
Hi.
Any messages for me, Phoebe?
Just one, Loverbird. When are we going out,
Let's hope that HR heard about this. Anyway, this special is very uninteresting overall. Snowbird, who has his own office, introduces us to Homer?
You got to be like Kung Fu warrior to get in this office these days.
I don't think he's that important. I mean, right? Then the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared guy shows up. I guess he's not important either. And a blue walrus. And then a bulldog.
I'm a TV director and this is a TV studio.
Who's apparently a director. Okay, then giant terrifying Santa needs Snowbird's help with something. Then Myron tries to take all of the new staff's jobs for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful. Just take a vacation and don't worry about a thing. I'll be great as a news anchor, Don. I'll be wonderful as a co-anchor. Just take a vacation and let old Myron do it. Demetria, baby.
Demetria, baby?
Santa steals Ben Grimm's disguise and very stealthily sneaks into the studio.
What time do we rehearse?
Why do a lot of these characters have blue mouths? Like, even Santa has a blue mouth. Okay, I can't watch any more of this. To summarize, Santa and Snowbird team up, sing a song in the utility closet, and save Christmas. After this, they saved Christmas a couple more times, just without the blue mouths, and won a local Emmy, I believe. God, I can't stand any more of this low-quality old stuff right now. Let's watch some more recent clips. Talk about higher quality. This video is a 360 experience of Snowbird and Myron taking us on a sleigh ride.
Ready for a sleigh ride?
Totally, Myron. Are you sure you know how to drive this thing?
Oh, absolutely, positively.
Okay, how about you? You ready? Let's go! It's time! Push off!
Yeah, come on, guys, let's
Push!
Here we go.
It honestly reminds me of one of those weird 4D theater ride things. Lots of stock graphics for sure, like these penguins at the end.
Myron, are we supposed to tip those guys?
No, that's the ground crew.
Oh.
You know what? I wonder if the same guy is still doing Snowbird after all these years. I know they've been leaning more into the walk-around costume in their spots rather than the puppet, so I'm just wondering if it's all the same guy. And you know, who runs all these different, like, offshoot Facebook accounts and YouTube channels? I mean, we've got a Snowbird Facebook page, a YouTube channel named Snowbird Central that was created just 8 months ago. And 2 Myron the Rat channels that have a total of 40 subscribers. So, who the hell is running all this stuff? Snowbird pushed out of Channel 4's nest. WSMV lays off the actor who has portrayed the station's weather mascot for 24 years. 2017? No, this can't be. What's his name? Stephen Good, okay. Okay, August 17th, 5 years ago today. I was called into a meeting at WSMV, okay. Was told that my position as Snowbird was being eliminated for budgetary reasons. With this picture of Snowbird's grave. What's this? A screenshot from Four's brand new musical Come On Back promotional video. No, that's not me. Oh my god, fans are furious. Fake bird. When do we get Stephen Good back? Holy shit, I need to reach out to this guy. I need to hear his side of the story. Hi Stephen, my name is Jared Irwin. I'm a Tennessee resident and a very small YouTuber. I feel like not enough people outside of the Nashville area know about Snowbird, and I'm trying to correct this by making a video about the subject. Given that you are Snowbird, I was wondering if you'd be open to doing an interview over Zoom. I'm trying to get information as accurate as possible, and having you on board for an interview would really help with that. I also have a few questions about your departure from WSMV and would really like to hear your side of the story. Just let me know if you'd be interested and we can set up a date. Thanks for your time, a new Snowbird fan. Send. And now we wait.
I know you're saying there's old Dean and he's going to talk about sausage again. Wrong.
This guy's too much. We need Vertizar power now. Your history, Snow Dude.
I've changed clothes to show that time has passed, when in reality, it's only been a couple hours because he didn't take as long to respond as I thought, but I already had written this into the script, so I was committed to the bit. Here's what he said. Seemingly responding directly to me saying, "You are Snowbird," he retorts, "Was. News station owners are attempting a character relaunch without my involvement." This, of course, was something I already had my suspicions about, given that Good was fired in 2017, and the new Snowbird YouTube channel has been posting as recently as this month. But I told him I wanted to get to the bottom of what exactly was going on. He then tells me more stuff that I kind of already knew, saying I was one of the many Channel 4 staffers that sued the station owner's Meredith Court for age discrimination and retaliation, just before Meredith decided to put WSMV and all other stations it owned up for sale. They settled all the lawsuits to tidy things up. The settlement terms limit what I can say about how things went down. This is why I believe he's so hesitant to do an on-camera interview, as a lot of the questions I wanted to ask him were related to his departure from WSMV, and apparently the settlement terms limit what he can and cannot tell me. But what we do know is that Steven himself wasn't fired due to his age. He was fired for showing support for other WSMV employees who he believed were wrongfully fired due to their old age. The station heard about this and promptly fired Steven as well, which sucks. Anyway, he goes on to give some more Snowbird history, culminating in the question of who else I had reached out to for interviews. At the time of sending these messages, it, of course, was only my local childhood meteorologist, who you saw me interview earlier, as I had no other leads that I thought would be interesting to reach out to. But this quickly changes when he gives me some names. Reach out to Greg Page, Steve Pennington, and David Privett, and David Van Hooser. They launched the character in 1983. If any of these names sound familiar, that's because we've seen the name Greg Page before. He appeared in the History of Snowbird YouTube video and is credited as working for PK Pictures, a production company that I presume created the original Snowbird content. We've also seen him in a behind-the-scenes episode of Rat Chat from 2017, so I assume PK Pictures still plays a part in the creation of Snowbird. These other names, Steve Pennington, David Privett, David Van Hooser, are all new though. We'll come back to that. In that same message, Steve says something else that was a revelation to me. Although it is something I could have 100% put together myself, he says, I assumed the role publicly for WSMV in 1993 until 2017, which should have been obvious as his bio clearly states for nearly 24 years I portrayed beloved WSMV Channel 4 personality Snowbird. And if you add it up, that has him playing Snowbird from 1993 to 2017, when he was let go. So yeah, I should have put that together myself. He tells me he was a freshman in high school whenever Snowbird first came out. I tell him that's cool and that I'd love to talk to him more over Zoom and record for my video if he was up for it. He replied 2 days later with, let me think about it. And I guess he's still thinking about it. So what did we actually learn from this little chat that we didn't already know before? The names of potential leads, the name of WSMV's parent company in 2017, and the information that Stephen Good, the man who I had believed to be Snowbird from the beginning, didn't perform the character for the first 10 years the Snowbird Report existed. So, who did? Was it Greg Page, Steve Pennington, Dave Privett, David Van Hooser? Find out this week on Birdwatch. So, Steve Pennington isn't Snowbird. He was Myron, and apparently still is Myron. Okay, David Van Hooser, marketing and promotion producer, WSMV TV, 1984 to 1998. Possible contender for early Snowbird? Let's dig deeper. This man has 2 LinkedIn profiles? You do you, I guess. In his media category, it has a link to PSAs and commercials by David Van Hooser. He wrote and produced these, so maybe he did the same for original Snowbird stuff? This could be interesting, guys.
Direct Furniture.
Just furniture in the road.
To a beautiful home.
No Snowbird.
Direct Furniture.
Just unrealistically fast internet and video calling quality for the time, so no Snowbird there either. Ooh, here's a reel. No, just Nazis. No Snowbird. Just a kid who's sad about his dead grandma or some shit. No Snowbird. God, I guess this guy just isn't proud to have been part of the Snowbird legacy. I mean, he did work at WSMV though, so that's something. David Privett. Did you mean David Privett? I guess. Okay, so this guy has over 35 years experience in theatrical and video puppetry, puppet design, character voices, songwriting, and performing. Snowbird, is that you? Holy shit. It's Myron. And Snowbird, right there. Man, I guess he's currently Snowbird, like in the newest iterations? So maybe he was the original too? But why would that be the case, though? Like, go from this guy to Steven, then back to this guy? Maybe he made the original puppet? Because, I mean, if we scroll down further, we can see that he has made the current Snowbird costume and was posting about Snowbird in October of 2017. That's the year that Stephen Good was fired. Wait a minute. 5 years ago today, I was called into a meeting at WSMV to be told by Meredith Court VP and the station's HR person that my position as Snowbird was being eliminated. And that post was made on August 17th. So Stephen was fired from being Snowbird in August of 2017. But they were making new promos in October of that same year. Something's not adding up here. PK Pictures, what's their deal? Let's take a look at their Facebook page real quick. Okay, there's a whole cast behind the scenes picture. The WSMV guys are there. Myron, played by Steve Pennington, is there. Snowbird, played by... What the f***? Who the hell is that guy? Ed May. 2014. Shouldn't that be Steven or David or... Oh my god. Was I wrong? Did Stephen Good ever even do the puppetry for Snowbird? Did he just do the costume character work? In all of my research, I've never seen a picture or video of Stephen puppeteering. Not once. Not even on his personal accounts. It's all just the costume. And look, here on PK Pictures page alone are like 10 pictures of this Ed May guy being Snowbird on multiple occasions. Did Ed just puppeteer him and Steven did the voice? What's really going on here? I need to know the truth. Ed May. The Muppet Wiggy? So this guy's worked with the Muppets? Oh my god, that was him! That cow in the background. Animal in that one scene. And a penguin waiter. Oh, that has to be foreshadowing. God, I for sure have to reach out to this guy. And that David guy too, and... God damn it. Guess I've got to reach out to Steven again. I mean, he can't leave me on red like that. I mean, I've just got to figure out what's actually going on. There are so many loose ends in this timeline here. And I just need to tie him up. I'm not f***ing talking to that Myron guy, though.
I'm going to talk about chicken, I'm going to talk about steak, and I'm going to talk about biscuits. Now you like Jimmy Dean sausage biscuits, right?
It was hot and steamy, and I was trying to stay cool. When in walks Four-Finger Myron, he was a real rat.
Hey, Penguin Face, the heat's on, and I'm looking for some relief.
Anchor, what do you think? All I know is I got sand in my drawers, and I'm a-fixing to get ill.
Oh yes, it's me, in different clothes once again. Because more time has passed. And no, I'm not just changing into different shirts off screen. How dare you? Before we dive into my conversations with our 3 possible Snowbirds, I want to address the elephant in the room, or at least the elephant in my room. So it has come to my attention that I could have very easily found out who originally played Snowbird, simply by looking at the credits on the Christmas specials. I came to this revelation when I was rewatching the second Christmas special and saw ever so clearly, listed right there in the credits, Snowbird, Dave Privett. Speaking of David Privett, he messaged me back saying, "Hi Jared, thanks for your interest. I'm happy to answer some questions for you. Just DM me the questions and I or my partners should be able to answer just about anything. If you want on-camera / on-the-record stuff, it might be best just to interview Snowbird. It might be best to interview Snowbird. We'll see. But send me the questions and we'll go from there. Dave." So I basically asked him exactly what I needed to know. Given he said that I could just DM him my questions, I asked how long his original run as Snowbird was before the role was handed off to another performer, as well as when he was brought back on. This information is pivotal in helping me develop a timeline. And sadly, over 2 weeks later, Dave has still not answered my questions. He left me on red and never responded. I sent him 2 follow-up messages, as you can see right here. He said he had the answer to one question and could have the other in a day or 2. It's been a week now. Still no response. From there, I followed up with Steven, and through a series of needlessly complicated answers, I surmised that he never actually did puppetry for Snowbird. Only dubbing the character's dialogue once, and also doing some background puppetry while Dave was in the role of Snowbird. So, Stephen Good strictly performed as only the costume character, not the puppet, in his time at WSMV up until 2017. This makes all the backlash that the station received upon Stephen's firing even funnier, given that he was nowhere close to being the original Snowbird at all. The absurdity of this situation is something that was brought up in my one-on-one interview with our mystery Snowbird, Ed May. Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Good, man. How are you? Thank you
Andy.
for doing this interview.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No one knows about this.
It's true.
Like, it's such a, like, you know, there's usually information like Wikipedia or like a Muppets wiki or something. There's like no documentation about this subject. And I'm like, I feel like now it's my duty.
You have a mission. You've been given a quest.
Yes. So I guess the first thing I would like to ask you is just tell us a little bit about, you know, your career in the industry and like what you do and all that.
I've been interested in puppetry ever since I was a really, really young kid. And that's all I've ever really wanted to be as a puppeteer. So I, as a little kid, really was into it. I'm 55, so I got started about the same time the Sesame Street did. So I grew up watching Sesame Street and stuff like that. Really got into it. Became professional puppeteer, I guess, in the early-ish 90s. And I've done theater, did some TV, I've done some film, a lot of touring things. And yeah, I've just been working in that. That's primarily been my job for the past 30-ish years.
See, that's awesome. That's that. Since there's so little information about this subject online, just an initial Google search of like Snowbird actor, because of, you know, the big fuss when Steven left the station and all that. The only stuff that comes up is stuff related to Steven. So my initial impression was, this is the guy. Steven Good is Snowbird. So my big question is, were the roles of like the puppet Snowbird and the costume character Snowbird, were those completely separate things?
They were. I never performed in the suit. Dave never performed in the suit as far as I'm aware. And Steven never did the puppetry.
Something that I've not been able to find in any of my research. It's pretty easy to find the Snowbird Christmas specials. Those have been re-uploaded on YouTube. The only informational content out there is a like 3-minute YouTube video called The History of Snowbird. That's super vague. But in that video, they mention the word from Snowbird PSAs. I cannot find those anywhere. They've archived. I'm thinking, I don't know if they were early 90s, because, you know, it's kind of like a anti-drug thing that was like big around that time period.
Right.
So I don't know if Dave would have any of those backed up anywhere. I have no idea. But I feel like it's kind of a lost media thing. And I feel like if I get the word out there, maybe someone somewhere has it recorded on a tape or something.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'm sure that's a lost media type thing, unless PK Pictures has it somewhere archived or in their library or something like that. And I don't know what kind of archive or stuff they have.
Do you have any like Snowbird media?
I off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that I have, but I will definitely look.
Again, the resources out there's not a ton.
Right.
So I was like, and the uploads I can find of the Christmas specials are ripped straight from someone's VHS recordings.
Yeah.
So they're not even super high quality.
Yeah, anything I had would either be beta or VHS. But I'll see what I can find. Now, have you heard about Beat the Heat? That was a summertime Snowbird
yes.
promotion thing. Yeah. So
I've heard about a lot of the stuff that was made, but it's just this stuff isn't widely available. And Snowbird's the name of a ski resort. So you type in Snowbird into Google, most of the results are for the ski resort.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to establish a timeline for sure of like the character was created in 1983 and
well, now, yes, but no. Snowbird existed in the 70s.
Oh, really?
The original Snowbird, because I grew up watching the original Snowbird. The original Snowbird was just a cutout next to the school closing map. That's all he was. And he said, "No school, no school," in a real high-pitched voice. And that was it. There was no character. There was no personality.
Yeah. So I guess in puppet form.
The puppet was created in 1983, yeah. But he was just a sort of a generic-looking penguin that had earmuffs and a scarf on. And it wasn't until 83 that he became a character with a personality.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't have it here, but I have one of the early, I have to find it. But the first couple of years it came out, must have been 85 because I was a senior in high school. People ordered me like they had little Snowbird stuffed animals. And I got 2 from different people. They both like, "Oh, I ordered this for Ed," because they knew I wanted to be a puppeteer.
Well, it was a big merchandising thing from what my research has told me. Because I had to get something to like commemorate this, and there's like 5 eBay listings, and so I was able to get this coin bank.
Yeah, there we go.
Real nice. And
I have one. I might have. Luckily, I got some of the Snowbird merchandise. I have it up there on a shelf.
Yeah,
I didn't get everything, but I actually have. Did you hear about the one time the bobblehead was like super crazy rare and expensive? Yeah, for a while it was like stupid crazy expensive on eBay.
So you took over the role in about, would you say early 90s?
I would think so. Somewhere, I would say, like I said in the message, I probably took it over about a year after Dave left for Denver.
Yes.
So I'm going to guess somewhere around maybe 94, 95-ish, something like that. Like I said, I did find one picture, because I took a picture because Steve and I signed the Snowbird central desk underneath with Sharpie, and it said 99, and that was 2005 when I took the picture of it. So I think I would have been starting somewhere around, like, say, maybe 94, 95.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know you were still doing it in, like, 2014.
Yeah.
Because those behind the scenes pictures I found.
Yeah. And
would you say you were, like, left 2017, 2018?
I think somewhere around there, because I left and I did the Walking with Dinosaurs International Tour.
Yes, I saw some clips of that.
Yeah, so I did that, and that most recent tour started in 2018. So I know I haven't done it since then. I want to say, though, that I didn't do it in 2017 either. So I think possible. And I looked at the latest pictures I have is 2015.
Oh, okay.
I feel like 2016, 2017 maybe is when I stopped performing. Yeah,
because I know that time period they really leaned into the costume character for like promotional stuff for a little bit.
Yes, they did.
Could that have been because there was no one to do the puppetry?
I think there were a couple of reasons for that. I think it might have been because it was nobody there to do the puppetry. I think towards the end when I was performing Snowbird, you have PK Pictures who did all the promotional stuff.
Yes.
But then it was the property and the character was owned by Channel 4.
Yes.
And there became a point later on when it seemed like a lot of people at Channel 4 didn't realize that there was a puppet of the character.
Yeah,
and they kind of went to Steven automatically. And a couple of times I was like, and I had to tell people like, "Oh, we didn't realize there was a puppet." I was like, "Yeah, there is actually a puppet character." And I'm like, "You have this on your station in your archives. You've got." I mean, I'm not sure why you don't know this, but yeah, they leaned into doing stuff with the costume character instead of the puppet. So I think that was partially maybe that maybe I wasn't as available, but also I think for whatever reason. Because Steven was there, I mean, he had his own little Channel 4 pass, and he was actually physically at the station.
At Channel 4.
Yeah. And he got paid through Channel 4, the station, and he would go do his appearances, and he would bill the station. The station paid him for doing that. So I think they realized.
I figured he was more on the station's payroll rather than
right.
PK Pictures. I think the reason I had to dig so deep to find your name and even Dave's name is because of Steven leaving the station and all those articles about it and the whole big controversy it was. Yeah. And I think that may be more of a reason that people believe him to be the Snowbird.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of things because I know that they have really did a push. I don't know if it's I saw a couple of pictures with the puppet and Lisa Spencer, who's the chief meteorologist at Channel 4 in Nashville, recently in the past several months, and I see that they have a Snowbird Central presence on Facebook, and they're doing a lot of meme things and short little videos, and I think they're really trying to push it out. But I saw a couple of people make comments like, well, this isn't the real Snowbird, and I can't believe they're going to replace it with a puppet. And I'm like, it was a puppet for like decades before it was a costume. So people have really weird perceptions about how this stuff happened. I also, like I say, the part of the reason why I think people think of the costume is because Steven was basically employed by Channel 4, and I think they were paying him. I think either somebody in the promotions department or maybe Steven himself pushed Steven out there in the costume. I was doing that. I did some other TV stuff, and I did some of my own stuff and some theater stuff. So I was busy with all these other puppet things, and Steven was really focused on the Snowbird suit and doing stuff with that, again, because he's employed by Channel 4. So I think that's one reason why in later years people started to associate the costume with Snowbird and kind of forgot that there was a puppet character.
And see, that's what I thought was so crazy about it, is that people were saying, like, this is not the real Snowbird, this is not the real Snowbird. I'm like, I wonder if these people even know that the guy doing it now was the original Snowbird.
He is like the first Snowbird. Yeah, he was the first puppet Snowbird. Yeah, so
I can't imagine, like, the irony in that is crazy.
This is not, no, he was always a puppet. It's only been more recently that he was the costume. So
well, and I know Dave is, of course, back now as Snowbird, and he's doing the Snowbird Central stuff.
Right. Yeah. And the promotion stuff. And I think there for a while, and this is my conjecture, just sort of watching what was happening because I was out of this when it happened. But I think Channel 4 kind of wanted to kill off Snowbird.
Yes.
Because it is a promotion. It is an old school, local TV station kind of promotion thing that really doesn't necessarily jive with the modern, you are kind of the modern act. Yeah. We're an important, serious, trusted news source. We can't have something goofy and silly. So
yeah. Oh, and I hate that perception too.
There you go.
It is great marketing, and he's like, yeah, I completely agree, but like in this day and age, it's not something that you see a lot of anymore, because again, the more serious people rely on news now more for straight up news, and that's about it.
But it was great for, like you say, great marketing for Channel 4 because he was such an ambassador and such a logo and a brand for the station.
And like again, they merchandised him.
And they merchandised him. Yeah. They had a ton of stuff.
I can't imagine they weren't making money off that.
It is unfortunate, but yeah, I think that is as beneficial as it is, and I can tell you see that. It is an old school type of promotion that, it's a tougher sell these days than it would have been. So,
well, I know they did the regional things where they would like fly different weathermen. Because I asked our lead weatherman here, who has been the lead meteorologist here since the early 80s, and he was like, yeah, they flew me out and I did some spots with him.
Well, they would come through, we'd say, hey, Bill, and then he would leave, and then like, hey, Dave, hey, Tom, it'd be the same thing. You just change the name.
Do you have anything that you would like to, where can people find you, and like that, anything you'd like to promote?
Let's think. Well, there's, I have my own small touring company called Runaway Puppet Theater at runawaytheater.com. We have a Facebook page, which is woefully not updated as much as it should be. And if anybody's looking to hire an out-of-work puppeteer, I'm always happy to.
You heard it here first.
Always happy to show up and provide some puppet manipulation and performance and things like that.
But yeah, it's crazy the amount of talent that has been involved with the Snowbird brand over the years that a lot of people just don't know about.
No, it's like you've discovered. It's a lost sort of piece of specifically Nashville.
Yes. And I was like, I feel obligated not just as a fan of like puppetry, but as a Tennessee resident to inform the masses. Because I mean, like in Nashville, it's a known thing, like everyone knows that. But like, if you go just over here in East Tennessee, no one remembers. I was surprised that our meteorologist remembered it. He filmed the Snowbird spot.
Yeah. But as we've talked to about earlier, it's getting less and less known. The further it is from the actual being on air. So I guess maybe that's one reason why they're sort of pushing him independent of Channel 4 on Facebook and things like that, just to get him more aware.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much, man. I would love to stay and chat longer, but it's given me a time limit unless I buy Zoom Pro.
I understand entirely. I've done the exact same thing.
So, what is the conclusion here? That Ed May is the nicest Snowbird performer? No. He is, though. Super nice guy. I feel like the best way to summarize everything that we've learned about Snowbird is to take a look at our timeline from start to finish. Now, I know it may seem like I just walked over here from the other side of the room, but it's actually been a couple of weeks, and a very stressful couple of weeks, might I add, but we're not going to get into that. Let's get to what we're actually here to talk about. Snowbird. As you can see here behind me, I've got a timeline that I'm going to be using to map out the history of Snowbird as we know it right now. So apparently Snowbird was a thing in the 70s. He was just a cutout that would pop up and say, "No school, no school, no school, no school." But he was the thing nonetheless. So he dates back to the 1970s. And as far as I know, no images or video of this Snowbird exist or have even circulated online, so that would kind of make it lost media. Now we move to 1983, Puppet Snowbird's big debut, performed by Dave Privett. Snowbird runs in syndication, made specials, and public service announcements. Most of these are lost media, especially the PSAs. I can't find those MFers anywhere. Hell, Lisa Spencer doesn't even know where they are. Now let's move to 1993, where a new Snowbird emerges in a walk-around costume form, performed by Stephen Good. This Snowbird would not appear in syndicated spots, only in promotional spots for WSMV Nashville, without the involvement of PK Pictures, as well as parades and other local events. Video of this version of Snowbird is pretty easy to find. However, much of it would still be considered lost media. Also around this time, let's say 1995-ish, Dave Privett stepped down from his role as Snowbird's puppet performer and moved to Denver. Subsequently, Muppet-trained puppeteer Ed May stepped in to fill the role at PK Pictures. Ed would continue to bring Snowbird to life in specials and syndication until around 2015-ish, when he stepped down from the role. And you guessed it, a lot of this era's content is lost media to this day. Now jumping over to 2017, Stephen Good, the costume Snowbird, is fired from WSMV for standing with other fired employees in an age discrimination lawsuit, prompting widespread backlash from the community. This is what most of the informational content about Snowbird online is about, so there's no shortage of information about this Snowbird iteration. That same year, Dave Privett is brought back on as the principal puppet performer for Snowbird by PK Pictures. Jumping now to 2022, which doesn't appear on this timeline. Snowbird makes a name for himself online, with the Privett-performed Snowbird Central, YouTube, and Facebook, in an attempt to introduce a new generation of children to the character via a more YouTube Kids-esque approach. And finally, throughout this whole timeline, Steve Pennington continued to perform Myron, the Weather Rat. So it seems the only consistent in the story of Snowbird is that of Myron. Myron's always been there, in our hearts and in our souls, with his signature catchphrase.
I hope nobody saw that. I hope nobody saw that. I hope nobody saw that. I hope nobody saw that.
Oh yes. Truly, okay, that's kind of a lame catchphrase. I mean, I hope no one saw that? It just feels like a knockoff Steve Urkel. Fuck you, Myron. Now that I'm realizing your catchphrase is lame, I take every nice thing I said about you back. Oh, and also, if anyone has or knows how to obtain any of these lost pieces of Snowbird media, please let me know. And by all means, search for it yourselves. I know the raw power of the internet and how we can find shit like this when we all work together and search for it as a community. So, yeah, let's all band together and find Snowbird's Summer Beat the Heat PSA. Get to work, my fellow ho-birds. I want to say a special thank you to everyone that helped out with this video. Alan C. Lopez, who is my friend and colleague who directed the horror-themed intro. My other friend and colleague, Danielle Miner, who supplied me with questions in Ed May's interview and also assisted us in filming the horror intro. On that topic, I do want to thank Ed May for appearing in this video, as well as Dave Privett and Stephen Good for helping a little bit. Not as much as Ed, though. I also would like to thank for appearing in this video. He's an icon in my area, and I knew if I was going to talk about something weather-related, I had to get this area's most prominent weatherman to appear in it. So yeah, special thanks to everyone who helped out, and I'll shut up now.
Be sure to tune in to the Snowbird Report. What's that noise?
What's on the shelf? 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 What's on the shelf?